How about those Rebels? Caleb,
how about those Rebels?
A few weeks ago, you didn't think we could do it. But
No.
they got one of the biggest wins in program history. Tavant Hemingway Stadium we go. Those hopes of being the team on top kind of got dashed against Georgia early on. Take a big hit for Jackson Dart. Picked off on third down. Even worse, he injures his ankle on the play. Georgia would score on that from Nate Frazier, a 2-yard run. An absolute nightmare of a start for the Rebs, but here comes backup quarterback Austin Simmons, enters the game with ice in his veins. The lefty converts on fourth down there to Caden Lee. A 10-play, 75-yard drive capped off by a Ulysses Bentley touchdown to tie it up at 7. And from there, the Rebels would never trail again. Jackson Dart returns on the next offensive drive, helps steer the ship for the rest of the game as the defense takes a stranglehold of Georgia's offense. And number 16, Ole Miss dominate number 3, Georgia, 28-10 to be the first team not named Alabama to beat Georgia since 2020. And then, of course, the fans storm the field and take down the goalposts. It was a great night for Lane Kiffin's crew.
We got a lot of work to do. We put ourselves in position now, not just with beating Georgia, but beating them like that put ourselves in position to be in the playoffs. So I'm not worried about the rankings and all that. That'll work itself out. We got 2 more games to play and need to go win those 2 games to put us in that position.
Like, we came into this week with all the confidence in the world that we were going to get this done. So, like I said, our backs have been up against the wall. A lot of people around the country and the media have lost confidence in us and kind of counted us out. But the guys in the room, the people in the program, never lost faith, and we're just going to continue to get better each week.
So that game, probably one of the wildest I've ever been to. The goalposts come down, the fans storm the field. You and I were both in there. From your perspective, as you're shooting the game on the field, I got down there eventually. But what was your perspective on that atmosphere first and foremost?
It was insane. It was absolutely insane. It was at one point with 5 minutes in the game left, I turned around. I was right next to the student section. I turned around to just see if they were going to storm the field, and they already had their legs up. And so I just turned to one of them. I said, "Please don't trample me." And he just went, "Woo!"
Yeah.
So it was insane.
Got a whole lot of woos and a whole lot of words we can't use on TV.
A lot of, ironic barking. That was always funny. But yeah, then when you actually saw the field goal post come down, it landed like that close to me. I've never been a part of it, so I didn't really know what to do. And I, of course, got the great shot. You risk it for the biscuit,
Gotta do it, man.
But yeah, it was insane. I mean, there were like 20,000 people on that field.
Well, first you got to talk about even leading up to that. So I was in the tunnel for the last 4 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And they start running these railings out. These metal gray railings. And so I tweeted about it. I was thinking, it looks like Ole Miss might be preparing for something.
Yeah.
And I thought they were almost going to try to prevent them from coming on the field because they've got all these railings out. And I think maybe it might have been more so that Kirby Smart and coaches and stuff could get out,
Yeah.
I don't know. But they started putting those railings out. I was like, there's no way they're going to prevent them.
No.
From rushing onto this field. And then you see
how close we got.
I always wonder in these moments, who coordinates it getting out of the stadium? Who's the head honcho that kind of,
I don't think
hey guys, we got to turn this way to get out of here.
I don't think there's any coordination. I think they're just go, get into the grove.
Yeah, get into the grove.
Yeah, I mean, you saw how close we were. There, at one point, fans were shaking me.
Yeah.
You could see the camera kind of shaking. That's because people have their hands on my shoulders, shaking me, just so excited. I mean, it's something, look at that little kid. He'll never forget that on his dad's shoulders. That dude's riding the goalpost.
That's hilarious. And then again, same kind of to the same part that you were talking about. I had kids. First of all, they rushed the field twice.
Yeah,
and so the mistake that was made at Ole Miss was with a minute left, there's already rows of kids behind us in the end zone waiting to run onto the field. So and they're itching because there's so many stops in that last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And so when they finally got to 16 seconds, all the fans, there was a fourth down, so it's a turnover on downs, the clock stops. And they rushed the field the first time, and they had to clear the field. I've never seen that before where the field gets rushed. There's thousands of people on the field at this point, and you get to hear the guy over the announcer comm saying, hey, we need everybody to clear the field. Please clear the field. The game's not over yet. It was just really funny. And then we hear from Lane Kiffin after the fact. First of all, you saw him on the broadcast.
Yeah.
And he says, this is effing ridiculous. And
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
funny. And then he comes in, he's like, we might have to pay 2 fines because they rushed the field twice, and they got to pay that money out to Georgia. So Georgia takes a sore L, but they get some money out of it, I guess.
I want to say I was wrong. I was completely wrong. A couple weeks ago, I said that Ole Miss's season was done, and I was completely wrong. I said that they had no chance. You and Rachel checked me on it. Y'all are right. Look. You say things on shows like these, sometimes you're wrong. I thought that it was over. I thought that after Georgia beat Texas, they looked like the best team in the country. And everything that I said could happen for Georgia to win, Georgia having one of the best front sevens in the nation, were not able to get in Jackson Dart's face. Meanwhile, Ole Miss, who also have one of the best front sevens in the nation, made Carson Beck look completely inadequate in that game and completely stopped the run. Georgia rushed for 59 yards. That's not what Georgia does. 59 yards?
Not at all. That's their calling card, is their ability to run the ball, and that can kind of supplement their ability to pass. And you keep Carson Beck under 200 yards. I think he had 185 or somewhere in that area, in that range, and he was uncomfortable all night. They sacked him multiple times,
right?
And he throws a pick there in the latter end of the game, and when he got that pick from John Saunders, you just knew that the game was over and the momentum had completely shifted. I really do have to shout out the Ole Miss defense, because they played so well in that game. They controlled the entire narrative of the game from start to finish. And we heard when we were in the press conference with Lane Kiffin, he was like, after that first drive where Georgia scores after the interception, quick change, right? Yeah. Momentum's all on their side. They only allow 3 points the whole rest of the game, and that's something that has been so hard for Lane Kiffin's teams to do in the past. It's just been, in the past, they just haven't matched up in that front seven. And last night, Suntarine Perkins, Chris Paul, Jared Ivey, Walter Nolan, Pegues, they all controlled that line of scrimmage, and it made it so hard for Georgia's offense to do anything all night, so much to the point that Jackson Dart and Ole Miss's offense didn't have to do too much. No. I mean, they scored 2 touchdowns, but had 5 field goals. And normally you're talking about you can't kick field goals against a team like Georgia because they'll hurt you in the long run. And that wasn't the case last night, Saturday night.
That defense won that game. I think they have the mantra, stand by to get some, which is a military phrase that we learned afterwards. Also nicknamed Juice Boys, too.
Yeah, the front seven.
I think that's one of the hardest nicknames.
Shout out to Chris Paul.
Yeah, shout out to Chris. With the Winnie the Pooh chain, too. The gold and diamond Winnie the Pooh chain.
Right.
It was really impressive to watch. Georgia have an excellent offensive line. They were missing an important key piece in that game, but it really didn't matter. When I was going back and looking at the clips that we got, they ran a lot of mixed sets where, Walter Nolan would cross over, Chris Paul would go in the gap.
Twists.
Yeah, a lot of disguising their blitzes, and they were not able to pick it up. And if you look at someone like Kirby Smart, who's able to adjust on the fly so well. We've seen him do it so many times. They tried to adjust in the second half and just were not able to. Ole Miss just hit them in different ways. So, it was extremely impressive. And also, when you get in a quarterback's face early on, especially a quarterback like Carson Beck, it messes with their confidence. And Beck, after that first drive, had no confidence. And you saw it, and it kind of the penultimate play was when he threw that interception to Saunders, and that was a bad throw because he's sitting there and he's like, am I about to get my clock cleaned again as he's coming back, and he throws that short. I mean, you look at Dylan Bell, one of the better wide receivers in the country, had 1 reception. You also look offensively, we were talking about Malachi Starks. For Georgia,
did not look like the best defensive player in the country in that moment.
No, they just keyed everything away from him. They were not letting him get. And now Malachi Starks is very good at being second or third on the team in tackles every game.
Right.
But they just completely keyed him out of the game, and he wasn't able to do anything. Offensively, they were just very clinical. They converted the third downs they needed to convert. Mm-hmm. In the red zone, they were not able to, but they trusted in Caden, and he just got the job done.
I really want to shout out Austin Simmons, who comes in after that first drive where Jackson Dart hurts his ankle. You can feel almost the air. I use this phrase a lot. Air comes out of the balloon because you lose your starting quarterback. He just threw an interception. Georgia scores. It's 7-0, and you're thinking, oh, man, this might be the same old song and dance we've seen with Ole Miss and Georgia in the past. Austin Simmons comes in. He goes 5 for 6, 64 yards, leads a 75-yard drive, and they score. And it's instantly tied up and all of a sudden you feel everybody kind of breathe again. It's like, okay,
Right.
we might be all right. And then Jackson Dart comes out of the tunnel with a towel over his head. I tweeted this out. I said he came out with a towel over his head in the cool style, not the dejected style, right? Throws his helmet back on, and he comes back out. And he plays well. So I really want to shout out Austin Simmons in that moment because if they don't score that touchdown, I really wonder how that game continues to play out in terms of just, we know Old Mo, momentum plays a huge part in that in college football and college athletics in general. And for him to come out and kind of right the ship in a moment that was really uncertain played a huge part in that game. Jackson Dart still finished 13-22, 199 yards and a touchdown. But that environment that they were in, they set an attendance record, 68,126 people in Vaught Hemingway Stadium. It made all the difference. Kirby Smart actually talked about it after the game, was just saying they create an environment both with their on-the-field play and that stadium atmosphere that makes it really, really hard to play. And I'm almost surprised to hear him say that because we see Kirby Smart go to Neyland Stadium in Tennessee. We see him go to Tuscaloosa in Alabama and Texas this year. And those are environments where you're expecting your team to be used to those kind of scenarios, and that just certainly wasn't the case.
One thing I'll say about Austin Simmons is when I was on the student section side, one of the students literally grabbed me, reached down and grabbed my shirt, and he said, "Get all the clips you can of Austin Simmons, because he's my favorite Ole Miss player that's ever played." Like, they were hyped up about Austin Simmons. But yeah, next time, Ole Miss fans, please don't grab me. That shocked me. I thought I was going to get pulled into the student section. I'm trying to
sacrifice to Vaught Hemingway Stadium.
I'm trying to record Carson Beck trying to backpedal once again and failing, and he's grabbing me. Austin Simmons. So yeah, the environment was insane. They had to stop the game at the start of the fourth quarter because they shot off so many fireworks. There was so much smoke on the field, you couldn't see anything. And Georgia had the ball, and so yeah, thankfully, for Georgia, it didn't matter. But there was so much smoke on the field, it was insane. Really, really cool environment. Awesome.
Yeah. So. Cool environment. Obviously, it's a huge win. And while the win keeps the Rebels alive in the college football playoff talks, according to ESPN, if the season ended today, they might not be in. But they did put themselves in position to be in the college football playoff. Here, we got to look at the rankings right here. This is according to ESPN as of yesterday. You got Oregon, Ohio State still 1 and 2. Texas and Penn State fill out 3 and 4. Tennessee, they're at 5, Indiana at 6, BYU, Notre Dame, Alabama, Georgia still in that top 12 at 10, Miami, Boise State, and then you find Ole Miss there at 13. So what do you think, Caleb, about their chances to get in? Actually, I think we have one more. Do you have one more full screen? I thought we did. But what do you think about what their ability to get into the college football playoff looks like? There's the projected bracket as of right now. Right. So you have Boise State taking on Ohio State in that first round, Georgia and Penn State, Alabama and Tennessee, Notre Dame and Indiana. In the first round, byes go to Oregon, Texas, BYU, and Miami as of right now if the playoffs start today. According to ESPN, we'll figure out kind of something else when the new rankings come out tomorrow. But Caleb, what do you think about their ability to get into the playoff now?
Well, a lot has to happen over the next 2 weeks. I think 2 key matchups, 3 really. You got Indiana, Ohio State. Mm-hmm. You've also got Georgia, Tennessee this weekend, which could honestly, if either one of those teams, if Georgia loses, they're probably out. If Tennessee loses, I could easily see Ole Miss leapfrogging them, and they would, in leapfrogging them, also probably leapfrog Georgia as well. And then you have Texas A&M that have to host Texas. In that environment, we're talking about great environments. That environment is crazy. And it's kind of re-sparking that old rivalry between A&M and Texas. So yeah, a lot of things, not a lot of things have to go Ole Miss's way because they're right there on the verge. And obviously these are just projections. They could jump a little bit more. But yeah, I think they have a pretty good chance, but there's a lot of things that need to happen in a way for Ole Miss, but they're in a pretty good shot. Because if you look at Tennessee could definitely beat Georgia. And even if they do lose, then Tennessee are sitting there with 2 losses, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, and Ole Miss also have 2 losses. So
there's a lot of teams that are going to be sitting at 2 losses.
A lot of teams.
We're talking about Ole Miss. Tennessee could be 1. Georgia's already got 2.
Right.
So, and then Texas A&M, like you mentioned, has to play Texas. They're both at 1 loss right now, so one of them ends up with 2 losses. It could get really interesting with this college football playoff because we think there's probably going to be 3 to 4 SEC teams in there.
Yeah.
If there's all these teams sitting at 6 and 2 with 10, 11 wins, it can get real hairy in terms of probably people lobbying to get a 5th SEC team in the door. And for Ole Miss, we heard Lane Kiffin kind of say, we put ourselves in a position. They just got to win out, right? They got Florida, and they got Mississippi State, obviously, in the Egg Bowl. So can't forget Mississippi State.
From
right?
hell, yeah.
You cannot forget that. But this is certainly a situation where Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss kind of control their destiny a lot more than we thought. So it's been really cool. I can't believe we were able to kind of witness
that was insane.
That entire environment with that game. Is one of the best in terms of just crowd environment and field storming. I keep saying field storming that I've ever seen. It was really cool. Really cool.
Well, now that they know how to do it, let's with 16 seconds left, let's not storm the field.
Yeah. They need some practice.
Some practice, yeah. And the security guards, let's just stay out of the way next time. I saw one clip, and the guy was trying to block him, and he said, "This looks like Georgia's offensive line."
Yeah, that was an old clip.
Oh, that was an old clip.
Yeah, that was an old clip.
Yeah. See, I'm just scrolling through.
Right. He clocks that girl.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was bad.
Yeah, he clocks that.